People say chess is just a game. Black and white squares. Wooden pieces. A quiet battle of minds, but sometimes, a chessboard becomes a mirror. It shows who we really are when no one thinks it matters. That night, in a small community center on the edge of a tired American town, one chess match would remind everyone in the room that kindness is not a move you calculate. It's a choice you make. Before we dive in, take a quick second to support the channel. If stories like this warm your heart, hit subscribe, tap like, and share your thoughts in the comments. This is Kindness Story Hub, where real moments remind us how powerful simple kindness can be. The community center smelled like old books and fresh coffee. Folding chairs scraped the floor as people settled in for the monthly open chess night. It wasn't fancy. No trophies. No cameras. Just neighbors trying to forget their long workdays for a few hours. At one table sat Richard Hale, the CEO of a fast-growing tech company. Everyone knew who he was. His name was in local business magazines. His face was on billboards downtown. He wore a tailored jacket even here, sleeves rolled just enough to look casual but not careless. Richard loved chess. Or at least, he loved winning at it. To him, chess was about control. Strategy. Outsmarting the other person. It felt familiar, like the boardroom across the room. A man quietly helped his daughter with her backpack before she ran off to the kids' area. His name was Daniel Brooks. A single dad. Mid-30s. He worked maintenance at the local hospital, mostly night shifts. His clothes were clean but worn, his hands rough from work. Daniel didn't come to chess night often. Babysitters cost money he didn't have. But that night, his daughter begged him to stay. She wanted to draw while he played. So he stayed. When Richard looked around for an opponent, his eyes passed over Daniel at first. Then, with a small shrug, he nodded toward him. "You play?" Richard asked, already sitting down a little. Daniel said, "Unsure." "Good enough," Richard replied, setting up the pieces. "Let's make it quick." A small circle formed. People liked watching Richard play. He was aggressive, confident, and loud with his commentary. He explained his moves before making them, like a teacher who enjoyed reminding everyone how smart he was. Daniel listened quietly. He didn't interrupt. He didn't rush. He just moved his pieces calmly, one by one. Early in the game, Richard smirked. "You're defending too much," he said. "Chess is about pressure. You've got to dominate." Daniel nodded. "Maybe," he said softly. As the game went on, something strange happened. Richard's easy confidence began to fade. Daniel's moves weren't flashy, but they were thoughtful. He protected weaker pieces. He sacrificed when it mattered. He played like someone used to making the best of limited options. The room grew quieter. Richard leaned forward, jaw tight. "You've played more than a little," he said. Daniel shrugged. "I used to play with my dad. He taught me when I was a kid." Richard scoffed. "Well, this isn't a memory game. This is business. You hesitate, you lose." Daniel looked up at him then, not angry, not defensive. Just calm. "Some of us don't get the luxury of rushing," he said. "We learn to be careful." A few people exchanged glances. Midway through the match, Daniel made a move that caught Richard off guard. It wasn't obvious, but it set a trap. A quiet one. Richard laughed. "That's a mistake," he said, confidently moving his queen. Daniel didn't smile. He simply reached out and took the queen. The room went completely silent. Richard froze, staring at the board. His face flushed. That doesn't make sense," he muttered. Daniel leaned back slightly. "It does if you've been watching closely." For the first time that night, Richard didn't speak. He studied the board, breathing shallow, realizing he had underestimated the man across from him. A few moves later, it was over. Checkmate. No applause. Just quiet respect. Richard sat back, stunned. He forced a chuckle. "Guess I got sloppy," he said, though his voice lacked conviction. Daniel extended his hand. "Good game." Richard hesitated. Then he shook it. People began to drift away, whispering. Daniel stood up to check on his daughter, who ran over waving her drawing proudly. "That's beautiful," Daniel said, kneeling to her level. Richard watched them for a moment. Something about the scene unsettled him more than losing the game. You come here often? Richard asked. Whenever I can, Daniel replied. It's good for her to see people thinking instead of yelling at screens. Richard nodded slowly. What do you do for work? Hospital maintenance, Daniel said. Fixing what breaks. Richard swallowed. My company, we're building a new wing at Memorial Hospital. Been having trouble finding someone reliable for oversight. Daniel raised an eyebrow. That's so? Richard hesitated again. This time, it wasn't pride. It was something else. Reflection. I've been treating this whole night like a contest, Richard said quietly. Like everyone here was just another opponent. Daniel smiled gently. It happens. Life trains some of us that way. Richard exhaled. You didn't rub it in. You didn't brag. You just played. Daniel shrugged. My daughter's watching. I want her to learn how to win and how to lose. That landed hard. The next week, Richard reached out. Not with a contract, not with a favor, but with an offer to talk. Over coffee, he learned about Daniel's life. The late nights. The missed holidays. The pressure of being both parents at once, and Daniel learned that Richard, despite his success, felt constantly alone, always competing, never resting. Months later, Daniel was hired as a facilities coordinator on the hospital expansion project. Not because he won a chess match, but because Richard finally learned to see him. The chessboard stayed at the community center. But something had changed. Richard kept coming back. Sometimes he lost. Sometimes he won. But he stopped explaining his moves out loud. He started listening instead. Daniel kept coming too. His daughter still drew in the corner. Sometimes, Richard brought snacks for the kids without saying a word. Chess was never just a game that night. It was a reminder that kindness doesn't announce itself. It shows up quietly. In patience. In respect. In seeing the person across from you as human, not a piece to be taken. And if a single chessboard in a worn-down community center can teach that lesson, maybe kindness is closer than we think. So wherever you are today, remember this. You never know who's sitting across from you. Choose kindness. It might be the move that changes everything.